this episode, we are on the outskirts of Charleston, not very far from the WEIU studios, but from biking to hiking, kayaking, and more. In this episode, we'll explain why you should take a hike to Lake Charleston.
Take a Hike on WEIU is supported by Rural King, America's farm and home store, camping supplies, kayaks, fishing and pet supplies, and more. Find your store and more information regarding Rural King at ruralking.com.
Hi, I'm WEIU's Lacey Spence. I've lived in Central Illinois my whole life, and if there's one thing I've learned, you don't have to go far to find the beauty of the great outdoors. Come along with me as I visit a variety of parks and natural areas in Central Illinois, and share why you should take a hike to each episode's location. Adventure and fun await in Take a Hike, the mini-series. Thank you for joining us for this first episode of Take a Hike. I am your host, Lacey Spence, and we didn't have to go very far for our interview today. We are at the beautiful Lake Charleston, and I'm joined by two fabulous guests today. Closest to me, I have Brian Jones. He is the Director of Parks and Recreation for the City of Charleston. And on the outside, we've got Diane Ratliff, and she is Tourism? Perfect. So today, again, we're at beautiful Lake Charleston. First, can you give us a little bit of a background of how Lake Charleston, like the development of it, came to be?
Yeah, we actually have two different bodies of water out here now. We have Lake Charleston, we also have the Embroil River, and they got divided by the side channel reservoir, which I'm not sure exactly when was put in, but so anyway, we have two different bodies, and people use both of them extensively. There's a lot of things that go on with the two bodies of water, fishing obviously being one of them, but again, there's other activities that go on out here as far as bird watching, people are kayaking, paddle boarding, and that type of thing, even though no swimming is allowed in either one of them.
That was going to be one of my questions, is the recreation out here. So how did kind of the development start to take place? I know, at least from recent history, one of the biggest things that people notice would be all of the trail work. Can you talk about that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, currently we do have just over 9 miles of trails around the lake, separated into 3 different park areas. So we have Lake Charleston, we have Woodyard Park, and then we have Lakeview Trail Park as well. So they kind of all connect to make one big large loop of trails around here.
And what kind of started that project? I feel like I had heard that there was maybe a bit of awards happening because of these trails. Can you talk about it?
Yeah, it actually got started a long time ago in Lakeview Park was the first one, and it was really the mountain biking guys are the ones that started developing additional trails in Lakeview Park. And we also have Woodyard, which is connected to it, and then they turn around and asked for permission if they could start developing trails in Woodyard, which we allowed them to do. And so that kind of got us halfway around. Then we had the reservoir, we had the lake out here. So the only piece missing was the north part of the lake. So yeah, so the public works guys went in, developed a trail on there, and then that completed the entire loop around the lake. And they are getting used more than we ever imagined. And yes, that project got submitted and won the Governor's Award.
And so you have folks who are traversing it either on mountain bike, on foot. Is there any other ways that they're traversing these trails, or is that pretty much it?
We've seen people out here on skateboards, kids on scooters, strollers obviously are a big deal. But there's any way you can get around, people are out here using the trails.
And is it pet friendly?
It is pet friendly, but we do ask that you clean up after your animals, and they must remain on a leash.
And one of the other recreation opportunities that you were talking about included kayaking. Can you talk about how people are kind of utilizing that?
Yeah, when we redid the boat ramp behind us, we added a Kayak Launch, which is actually over there, which has been very popular. So, but that just came from people requesting or asking, can you have kayaks out there, which you can because it's just a no-wake lake. Again, that's just how it came about. And kayaking is very popular right now. And so there's just seems like be more and more people showing up each day wanting to kayak out here.
Do you have a guesstimate of how many people are kind of out here? Because I know that from living in Charleston myself, you come out here of an evening and these new parking lots areas, they're packed.
I don't think we have any daily totals, but we definitely know that they are being used much more than they ever were before. And on the weekends especially, it is very busy out here.
And fishing, you said no swimming, but is fishing kind of big out here?
Yes. Again, both sides, the river and the lake, are both utilized by the fishermen. Of course, they've always been out here, but yes, it's still used quite a bit. There are a couple of bass clubs that use it for tournaments on the weekends, so fishing is still very prominent out here.
And are you able to talk about the wildlife? Because I know on social media, I see a lot of people who are capturing pictures of wildlife out here.
Yeah, we do have a lot of folks that use the trails that do photography, and they like to post that on the Lakeview Trails Facebook page. Definitely a lot of deer, birds. I know Brian had mentioned we do have several birders in town, and the lake is actually a hot spot in regards to birding, as recorded by the Cornell University of Ornithology. So we actually show up on their data as having a large variety of bird species in this area. We do also have quite a few eagles that make their home out here at Lake Charleston.
And if people are looking to get more information, is that Facebook page a good place to go?
It really is. Again, a lot of the users are part of that group. They post some really great pictures on there. And again, the other thing is they're also helpful to us that, hey, if a tree is falling down over a trail, they'll post that, which helps us then get our maintenance guys out here, and we try to take care of it in a timely manner. So it's really a nice interactive Facebook page.
And are there a lot of conservation efforts that happen out here?
Yeah, we also obviously have the Urban Butterfly Initiative, which has got several plots out here, and the city has got involved in that, so we have that. We also have the Embroil Valley Stewards that come out here that help us get rid of invasive species as far as plants and that type of stuff. So yeah, there's several different groups that are involved with this area also.
And so if I am a resident or a visitor out here and I'm looking to help maintain how beautiful it is out here and clean, what steps can I take to make sure that this is still a place for everyone to be able to come and enjoy?
Obviously, if you're just out here on your own, feel free to pick up any trash or anything that is left behind. Unfortunately, we do have some people who obviously still leave litter around, so we have a lot of our normal walkers who will carry trash bags with them and pick up trash as they go. That's always very helpful to us. We also have, if you want to go and organize a day where you can have multiple people come out and work, you can always contact the Parks and Recreation Department and we can set something up.
And are there organized events that happen here every year? Is there anything that's like the annual blank at Lake Charleston?
We have the Alex Russell Memorial Kids Fishing Derby that is here every year in June. It's a free event that we put on through the Parks and Recreation Department, and it's a free event. So it's just
we like that.
Yes, it's just a
Yeah.
chance for the kids to come out and fish for a morning. We have prizes and all that. So that's an annual thing that we do.
But if they're trying to sign up for a fishing tournament, where can they do that, or how can they do that?
So you can just watch our Facebook page or our brochures for information about that.
Gotcha. And so throughout 2021, maybe 2020 into 2021, there's been a lot of work that's happened out here recently. I feel like we're kind of sitting on part of it. Can you talk about the most recent changes that have happened out here at the lake?
Yeah, I would say that this area that we're sitting on right now is definitely new to the area. We connected the Alex Russell Fishing Pier and the boat ramp together, made a boardwalk, which has turned out very nice, and I think gives people the opportunity to fish off of the shore much more. We also put a path on the north side of the Lake Island track, which has also been very popular. Again, people fish off the shore, and plus it gets the opportunity that if you're walking and you don't want to go down the road or go through the Lake Island tract area, You can bypass it by taking the path on the north side. Again, some other things down there, the new pavilion, the playgrounds went in. So there's just a lot of areas down by the spillway, which was always a popular spot at Lake Charleston, has just gotten enhanced.
And we are going to give a closer look at that too, because that's just been incredible. I know that there's already been people taking advantage of that area for events, birthday parties, spending time with the family. And you mentioned Alex Russell. For folks who aren't familiar, who was Alex?
Alex was a fisherman, and he came to EIU, I believe, is to play football. After his football and college career was over, he stuck around, and he got married to Joy Russell, and he was just an avid fisherman that wanted to promote fishing to children so that they would learn something that would be a lifelong hobby that they could do. And he started the kids fishing derby. Unfortunately, he died in a car accident, and after he passed away, a local fishing club took on the tournament and ran it, and then it got passed on to us, and we've been doing it for a number of years since then. So that's the little bit of the history of Alex.
And what a great way to honor his legacy than getting kids into fishing, getting them outdoors instead of looking at screens all the time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So what was kind of the aha moment of, we have this great asset, this beautiful lake, we should really develop it and market it towards people coming to visit?
We've always kind of had the idea of the gorgeous lake. Obviously, when the trails started to go in and funding was coming through to make all these improvements, obviously it was just a great time to draw people into the lake and do different things. Like we've mentioned, there's a lot of different activities that are going on between the fishing and the birding and the hikers and the bikers and families coming out and things like that. So it's a wide variety that you can get everybody involved in.
And in talking about the trails, I'm not sure if you can hit on it per se, but one of the most recent developments, isn't there a trail now that goes from Lake Charleston to Fox Ridge? Is that right?
It doesn't quite go all the way through, but there's another organization out of Champaign that is developing trails just on the south of the lake. So if you cross 130, the trail system starts over there and it goes towards Fox Ridge. It does not connect up yet.
Is that the goal?
I think that is their ultimate goal, is to eventually get all the way to Fox Ridge.
And there has been so much development out here just in the last year or so. Is there anything else in the hopper? What's next for Lake Charleston?
I do think the development part of it is getting close to getting wrapped up.
Okay.
And again, we're just overwhelmed on, we had a master plan done, I think like in 2010 at the time. And at the time, the price tag, I think, was close to $2 million, and we just didn't think there was any possible way we could ever achieve that. But again, through grants and the city workers doing a lot of the work, it's really come together, and it's just turned out fabulous. And we're so happy that the citizens are out here using this facility again more than ever. And again, I think the best part of it is just there's so many user groups that are involved, and it's not just the one group that maybe it's out here that's taking advantage of this area, because it is so beautiful. And it's even going to be more beautiful in the fall if you're ever out here when the leaves start turning. It is really something to see.
And in our last couple of minutes here, is there anything that kind of strikes you that people maybe don't know about the lake, that they get out here and didn't realize that it had to offer?
I think part of it could be that, of course, the trail system is through Woodyard and through Lakeview. It's all pretty much natural trails, so they are dirt basically, and maybe some wood chip. But we do have a lot of hard surface out here when you're at the lake, the levee, and I think a lot of people have taken advantage of the hard surface walking. Again, with, like Diane said, with the strollers and those types of things, those are very difficult to push through Woodyard and Lakeview Park. So again, if you don't want to climb through those two parks, there's still a lot of mileage of hard surface trails out here that I think people are taking advantage of it. And if you haven't taken advantage of it, come out and give it a try.
Same question to you. Is there anything sticks out?
It's just one of those things that every day we seem to find more and more people who are coming out here, especially during COVID, when people needed to be outdoors. This place was hopping. You'd come out here at this time of day during COVID when everybody was on lockdown, and there would be lots of people out here. So it was just nice to have something to offer the community during a time when they couldn't go many places. They could come out and spend some time in nature with their family and enjoy.
And that's actually kind of part of the brainchild of why we wanted to do a show like this, is when there was literally nothing else you could do, at least you could go outside and enjoy
Absolutely.
your local hotspots. And as you were talking, it kind of sounds like this is also a place that would be handicap accessible.
Absolutely. Everything we did keep that in consideration and made that so that it was accessible.
And I also think that's wonderful because, again, you don't want anybody to be left out of being able to take something like this in. Is there anything else about the lake, about the trail system, before we transition, that you guys wanted to hit that I didn't ask about?
I don't think so. We just encourage anybody that has not been out here, please come out and give it a chance, and I think they'll fall in love with it.
All right. Well, we are going to take a quick break, and then we're going to transition into our Take a Hike highlight, if you will. We're going to highlight one of the newer developments out here at Lake Charleston, so don't go anywhere. When preparing for a hike on a wooded trail, here's some supplies you'll want to be sure to bring. Most importantly, bring plenty of water. No matter how long you plan on being outside, staying hydrated should be a priority. In addition to wearing comfortable and weather-appropriate clothing, you should also remember to wear hiking boots or shoes. Wearing shoes specifically made for hiking will give you the support you need on unpredictable terrain and help you avoid injury. When spending significant time outside, wearing sunscreen is always a must in order to protect your skin, even if you don't burn easily, so make sure to bring plenty on your hike. Bug spray is another necessity when hiking in the woods. Not only will using bug spray prevent those nasty, itchy bites on your arms and legs, but it will help you to not catch diseases from insects like Lyme disease or West Nile virus. Finally, when you're on a hike, the last thing you want is to get lost. Packing a map and a compass in your backpack will help you keep on the right path. And we are back. We have changed locations out here at Lake Charleston. We are on the opposite side from where we were just located. And we're going to get filled in a little bit on some of the highlights of Lake Charleston. So where are we at right now?
Yes, this is part of the plots for the Urban Butterfly Initiative. And we have several plots out here at Lake Charleston. So we have one here, extends down. There's also one in the turnaround down there. We have one at the Red Barn when you first come in, and then we also have 2 additional plots up at Woodyard Conservation Area. So we have several areas that you can come out, walk around, take a look at it, and try to find as many different species of butterflies as you can.
Now, isn't there something that happens every year where people catalog like the butterflies moving through?
That is part of the program. Yes, they have a weekend I think they take, and they have people try to collect as much data as they can, enter it into an app, and then that way they kind of get their numbers. So it's a very interactive idea.
And again, it's very cool that it's something easy that the family can do. And then if you're also a little tech savvy, again, you can take the pictures and try and spot as many butterflies as possible. I noticed the sign when we were pulling in here, it says Monarch City, USA.
That's correct. We are an official city. We were the first one in the state of Illinois, and I think there's been maybe 1 or 2 additional cities since then, but we were the first.
What an honor that Charleston is a #1 in the butterfly game, if you will. So as we scoot a little bit further up the stairs, a little bit shaded region, we've got called the Hangout. So this is an area for folks to utilize their hammocks, is that correct?
That is correct. This was an idea that was brought up to us that came from a campground. But yeah, there's just posts there. You bring your own hammock out, you hook it up to 2 of the posts, and you can lay in the shade, read a book, take a nap, whatever you want to do.
Now, you were telling me this might be one of the, I don't want to say underutilized, let's say a hidden gem. If folks don't realize that this is here, you don't have to reserve it or anything. You can just show up, correct?
That's correct.
And so if you are somebody who's maybe on Eastern Illinois University's campus, very short distance, and you want a change of scenery, this could be a great place to do that. So come check out the Hangout.
Absolutely.
So the next portion that we've got here at Lake Charleston, newer development, if you will, this beautiful pavilion. Can you kind of walk us through it?
Yeah, we had a pavilion in the same area, but prior to, we took it down and decided that we needed to upgrade the pavilion. And the number one thing that we needed here was restrooms. We never had any permanent restrooms here before, so we built this pavilion with the restrooms, and it just turned out fantastic. We get a lot of compliments on this, and this by far is the number one reserved pavilion that we have through the Parks and Recreation Department. So it does not cost anything to reserve it, but we do have people call up to our office or come in and do a reservation so that we don't have anybody overlapping. But it's got a fantastic view of the spillway, which was part of the idea, because again, the spillway is an attraction out here. People come out here on their lunch hour, or they just come out here and just, I guess it's the calming of the water rolling over the top of it or whatever. But again, it's always been an attraction, and it still is. But yeah, this pavilion really turned out great. Again, our public works guys did the majority of the work on it, and it's just turned out fantastic.
And something else to remember that we've kind of talked about earlier as far as like conservation and cleanup. If you're out here using the facilities, how important is it to clean up after yourselves?
Yes, as you can see, we have trash cans here. We really appreciate people picking up after themselves, and the main thing we always tell everybody is if you carry it in, please carry it out.
And this is your park. If you're coming to Lake Charleston, or if you're just a guest, if you are just visiting, regardless, you have to take care of the facilities so that it lasts and it's here for folks to use years to come.
Absolutely. We want to be good stewards and have this around for a long, long time. So
now back here, I'm spotting something that's very bright and very red. Is this newer out to Lake Charleston? Is
Yes.
this something that's organized by Lake Charleston?
this is a little free library, and this thing was put up by the Well-Read Book Club. They approached us and wanted to put one out here, so we did an agreement with them. And they are the ones that monitor the materials that's on the inside of it. But I'm sure everybody has seen the free little library, so you can either leave a book, you can take a book, and it's just another added feature that got put out here, I would say probably a year ago, and it's really been a popular thing.
And even though the show's called Take a Hike, you can also take a read
Absolutely.
while you're out here.
And go to the Hangout.
And go to the Hangout. So our last kind of big swath of things that have been redone out here at the park is this playground. Can you talk about that?
Yes, there hasn't been playground equipment out here, I don't think, since the 1960s or maybe early 1970s. And it was one of the things that when we started redoing the master plan, this was something that they wanted to put back out here, was a playground. And it's really been very, very popular. It's used a lot, and it's kind of a unique setup, as in it's a long, drawn-out playground, which is kind of unusual. But it has climbing rocks. It has the zip line, which has been very popular since we put that in. And again, we've tried to do something with the natural tones, colors, not have something big and bright that was going to stick out when you're out here in nature. So that's the idea behind the color scheme. But yeah, this has really been a really nice feature that's been added to the area.
And it's nice that it looks like there would be opportunities for your smaller Lake Charleston visitors up to a little bit older as well.
Correct. This playground structure here is actually 5 to 12-year-olds, but for the littler ones, we've got all the climbing rocks and all that. Plus, they can use this also. And yeah, it's really just been another really pleasant surprise.
And as we're on this side of the Lake Charleston area, the spillway and things, we were talking earlier about trails and trying to connect to Fox Ridge, and that was the Grand
Prairie Friends.
Correct. And so does that trail system start on this side, or is it closer down toward the gazebo and where we started the interview?
Yeah, the area that we cross when you come into Lake Charleston is actually the road you need to take over to go to the start of the Grand Prairie Friends, and it's through Warbler Woods. And yeah, they've been a great partner and continue to be a great partner with the city of Charleston. And hopefully one day we will make it to Fox Ridge.
Fingers crossed. Now, one last thing I wanted to ask for people who are out enjoying the lake is safety. There are certain park hours that people are supposed to abide by. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, from the city standpoint, all of our parks are from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. So that's when the park officially closes. That is monitored by the police department. So again, we just ask everybody, please observe, the city policies and ordinances. And yeah, even on the trails, we do have posts every mile or so that if somebody would get injured and they need to call 911, if they're by themselves, obviously it's a different situation, but if they have somebody walking with them, if they go to one of the posts and give them there's a color and a number, and that way it gives the firefighters and the EMT people a better idea where they're at, even though I know GPSs are on phones and all that stuff too. But again, trying to make it where it's safe for everybody.
And especially if you're a novice, you want to make sure you pay attention to those signs, because I would say I'm a beginner in the hiking department, and when you're out there, just make sure you can follow along with the trails, the colors, like you said. Very helpful.
Yes.
Is there anything else about Lake Charleston while we're out here that you'd like to add or tell the viewers about?
No, I just think, again, if you've not been out here, you're really missing out. This is a real gem in Coles County, and we couldn't be more proud of it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for this episode of Take a Hike, and we will see you next time.
Take a Hike on WEIU is supported by Roll King, America's farm and home store, camping supplies, kayaks, fishing and pet supplies, and more. Find your store and more information regarding Roll King at rollking.com.